All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful and, frankly, one of the most dangerous forces inside the Pakistan Stock Exchange: leverage. You've probably heard it called by its local name, Badla. Let's break down what it really means for the market.
So, you might be wondering, why are we starting with a bank run? It seems totally unrelated, right? Well, stick with me, because to really get a grip on how risk builds up in the stock market, this is the perfect place to start.
Okay, so just picture this. Every single person who has an account at a bank suddenly shows up on the same day, at the same time, demanding all their cash. Now the bank, it just doesn't have that much physical cash sitting in the vault. This nightmare scenario is what we call a liquidity crunch. The system literally runs out of ready money, and if the state bank can't bail them out, you're looking at a total default. Now, here's the thing. That exact same principle, it applies 100% to the Pakistan Stock Exchange. A liquidity crunch in the stock market happens when everybody, and I mean everybody, tries to sell their shares at the exact same moment. If there aren't enough buyers with cash on the other side to soak up all that selling, well, prices have nowhere to go but down, and fast.
And this is where Badla financing, or leverage, comes into the picture. At its core, it's a system that lets you buy stocks with borrowed money. You're basically buying shares on udar, on credit. And while that can seriously amplify your potential profits, it does the exact same thing to your potential losses. It's a true double-edged sword.
And the power of this tool is pretty significant. Just think about this for a second. With just 1 lakh rupees of your own sarmaya, your own capital, the Badla system can give you the buying power of up to 5 lakh rupees. You can suddenly control a much larger position in the market than you could with just your own cash.
So, are people actually using this? Oh yeah, in a big way. Just recently, the total amount of Badla financing in the PSX hit an absolutely staggering 90 billion rupees. That is an enormous mountain of borrowed money sloshing around the market.
And here is the single most important thing you need to remember. That entire 90 billion rupee figure, it's all udar. It's debt. And that debt has to be settled eventually. And how do you think that usually happens? You guessed it, by selling the very same shares that were bought on credit in the first place.
So this brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? What happens when the market takes even a small dip? Well, the lenders, they get nervous. They want their money back. And this, right here, is where the system's biggest risk gets exposed.
It sets off a crazy domino effect. First, your broker issues a margin call, which is just a formal way of saying, hey, you need to put more cash in your account right now. If you can't come up with the funds, the broker doesn't wait around. On their computer screen, there's a button, and it basically says, liquidate all. They click it, and just like that, all your shares are force sold at whatever the market price is at that exact second.
And let's be crystal clear about this. This is not a mistake. It is a feature of the system, designed to protect the broker, not you, the investor. They aren't trying to get you a good price. They are just trying to get their loan back. Period. This is why you sometimes see these sudden, violent drops in a stock's price that seem to come out of nowhere. It's often just a cascade of forced selling.
Now, this doesn't just happen to small, everyday investors. The Beret Sarmayadar, we're talking the big fish, the large brokerage houses, can actually trigger this kind of thing on purpose. If they all decide to pull their financing out of the market at the same time, they can manufacture a liquidity crunch to their own advantage.
And if you think this is just some theory, it's not. We've seen this movie before. Go back to 2005. The market was on fire, hitting all-time highs, and it was all fueled by massive amounts of Badla. Then in March, 2 top-tier brokerage houses suddenly turned off the tap. They pulled their liquidity. And just like that, the entire system ran out of cash and collapsed.
You know, it really illustrates the point perfectly. A market that looks incredibly strong on the surface can actually be nothing more than a rate cob mahal, a castle made of sand. And when that tide of financing goes out, the whole thing just comes crashing down.
So, what's the takeaway here? If you're an investor and you're trying to figure out how much real risk is hiding under the surface, what's the one thing you should be looking at? Well, there's one number that tells you almost everything you need to know.
It's that total Badla financing figure. This number is your ultimate warning sign. It literally tells you how much udar is propping up the market. The higher that number climbs, the more debt is in the system, and the greater the risk of one of these widespread domino effect sell-offs.
And to put things in perspective for you, in the past, the alarm bells would start ringing when this number hit around 40 to 42 billion rupees. That was considered the danger zone. Well, recently, that number blew past 90 billion. That's more than double the old warning level. The market today is carrying a much, much heavier load of debt.
At the end of the day, it comes down to this one simple, unavoidable truth of finance. All buying that happens on credit must eventually become selling. It's not a matter of if, but when. It's a cycle.
So the next time you see the PSX index shooting for the moon, just take a second to look up that Badla figure. And ask yourself this one crucial question. Is this market rally being built on a solid, bunyadi foundation of real investment, or is it just standing on a shaky mountain of credit? The answer to that question will tell you almost everything you need to know about the real risk.